I'm gonna be completing the entire mainline Pokemon franchise in chronological order with 2 catches. The first, we're doing a hardcore Nuzlocke in all 39 games. Rules are in the description if you're unfamiliar. And the most difficult part, no repeat Pokemon. If I choose Bulbasaur in red version, I can't use it ever again. Not in blue, not in fire red, nowhere, period. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any parts of this 10-episode series as we lead into the release of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. And let's begin. So as you've noticed, we're not including Pokemon Green. North American releases only makes it easier for organization, so I don't have to, buy Japanese games that I'll never touch otherwise. Starting out with red version, I'm going straight for Bulbasaur. The plan initially is to use Bulbasaur for red as we don't need a water type until mid-game, Squirtle for blue as Paris is an available grass type early enough in Mount Moon, and Charmander will be saved for the remakes as it gets Metal Claw for Brock. You'll see what I plan on doing for Leaf Green in the Let's Go games when the time comes, but let's stick to Gen 1 for the time being. So for Gen 1, each game has 21 fights to go over. Rival 1 in Oak's Lab, Brock, Rival 2 in Cerulean City, Misty, Rival 3 on SSN, Lieutenant Surge, Giovanni 1 in the Rocket Game Corner, Erika, Rival 4 in the Pokemon Tower, Rival 5 and Giovanni 2 both in Silph Company, Koga, Sabrina, Blaine, Giovanni 3, Rival 6 on Route 22, Lorelei, Bruno, Agatha, Lance, and the Rival 7 Champion Battle. Multiply that by 3 games and we've got 63 fights to mess with, not including the Jesse and James fights in yellow, so we're gonna want to blaze through them. If you're watching this video, you likely know the progression of each Pokemon game generally, so I'm going to be speaking about encounters and fights only, or else this will end up being a movie-length challenge just for Generation 1. My rival's easy enough to take down, just spam tackle and move on through to get Pokeballs. I've got to use the minimum amount of encounters possible in these early games as Kanto spans so many generations, being in Gens 1 through 4 as well as Gen 7, so laying out early, mid, and late game encounters is paramount to Nuzlocking the entire franchise in one go. First encounter happens to be Pidgey on Route 1. A flying type is very convenient in every game that has HMs, since Fly is both a pretty decent move and for moving around the map quickly, so I'll definitely take that. These are the only 2 encounters I'll be picking up before Brock, so let's get to the main way of increasing our stats in this generation, stat experience. To keep this brief, instead of EVs that can be sorted into an effective maximum of 252 in each stat, with a total of 510 overall, all stats can get 65,535 points in each stat based on a KO'd Pokemon's base stats. Here, the lowest EXP yield are level 2 Pidgeys with 15 EXP per KO, with the base stats of 40 HP, 45 attack, 40 defense, 35 special, and 56 speed. That means you get points in each stat equal to those stats. 2,560 points in a stat equals 1 additional point overall in your stat, so if your attack stat is 25, 2,560 will make it 26. It's a boatload of information, but hopefully it wasn't too complicated. Lord knows they fixed this system to be at least a little bit more comprehensible in Gen 3. But that explanation took enough time so we can head to Brock, take out his Geodude and Onix with one-shots with Vine Whip from Bulbasaur, winning us the fight no problem. Before heading to our next couple fights, we've got 3 tasks to take care of. 1, get our encounter on Route 3 in Jigglypuff. 2, get our encounter in Mount Moon in Geodude. And 3, go back to Route 1 and kill a bunch of birds that are level 2 so that we can max out our stat experience as much as possible, getting everybody to level 19 and heading back towards Cerulean City to go back into some real action. The rival battle on Nugget Bridge goes very simply thanks to Geodude, as Rock Throw one-shots Pidgeotto, swapping in and out to get rid of the Sand Attack accuracy deprivation. Then, since he's in on Abra, I'm able to set up 6 defense curls and just plop a Rock Throw to KO Abra, Rattata, and Charmander all in one shot each to win. Geodude is already putting in work, and fun fact, Rock Throw is only 65% accurate in Generation 1. I don't know why they had to make the most accessible Rock-type move in the game completely terrible, but Game Freak isn't really that good at programming video games. Shortly after, it's time for Misty, and thanks to Starmie not having a single psychic move, our newly evolved Ivysaur is able to power through with the Whip of the Vine, 2 for Staryu, 3 for Starmie, with only taking half damage from both of them combined before winning me the Cascade badge. Not bad whatsoever. I think the basis of our team is quite powerful, and all I really need to have a complete balance are a fire and water type, which should be coming up shortly. Fight number 5 aboard the SSN against our rival is rather similar to the last one, just with a few evolutions that Geodude still handles effectively. Rock Throw hits on the first attempt against his lead Pidgeotto, KOing as Raticate comes out second, who's easily outed thanks to a single dig. Same ends up occurring to Kadabra and Charmeleon too. One dig each wins me the fight. Dig is actually a 100 power move, 100% accuracy in Generation 1, same as Earthquake, so this is an insane move to have this early on. Especially for Lieutenant Surge, whose Voltorb, Pikachu, and Raichu all fall to a single dig apiece, winning me the fight and allowing Geodude to evolve into Graveler. I will be allowing for trade evolutions, but I don't think it would be too fair if I just allowed myself to go straight into Golem, so we'll be waiting a bit. After pulling up my search engine of choice and typing Rock Tunnel Map, it's time for some Celadon action with 2 important fights here. First up, Giovanni in the Rocket Game Corner has an easy team to take down thanks to Ivysaur, as Vine Whip KOs both Onix and Rhyhorn, with Kangaskhan being his only remaining Pokemon. As Comet Punch, which can hit hard, especially when there's a critical hit involved, which happens for all subsequent shots, but thankfully it only lands allowing for Ivysaur to land a Leech Seed, then I can swap out into Graveler to KO with a few digs, all while resisting Kangaskhan's attacks, winning me the fight. Very simply done. But before I head into the fight with Erika, I went ahead and grabbed my 5th team member in Growlithe on Route 8, evolving it into Arcanine with a Firestone accessible right here in Celadon, leaving just that last party slot for a water type. So after clearing out the available trainers in the region to get to the level cap, I'm ready. Erika leads off with Victory Bell, a really strong mon for this point in the game, but I can out it relatively effectively with Arcanine's Ember, 2-shotting as Victory Bell misses Poison Powder on the only turn it could have attacked, leading to Tangela. Of course, it's much lower level than the rest of her team, so this is an easy 2-shot with Ember with a light Constrict landing as Vileplume finishes the trifecta, managing to land a Poison Powder and a Mega Drain, but it's all for naught as 3 Embers manages to burn the plant to the ground, winning me the Rainbow Bagel. I still prefer the Poppy Seeds over the colors though. The rest of the game moves rather fast, as straight after is the battle against the rival in Pokemon Tower, entirely taken care of by Wigglytuff and a combination of Tri-Attack, Thunderbolt, Ice Beam, and Bubble Beam, hitting Weakness, or in Kadabra's case, Brutal Defense, on each and every one of his Pokemon to win the match. Happens to help that Wiggly's a sponge for damage in Generation 1. After misclicking Dig while trying to swap my party around and having to walk through the tower again, we've got the Pokeflute ready to take on the onslaught of trainers on both sides, leading to Fuchsia City, though we're not really concerned with Koga yet, just the experience necessary to get on par level-wise with the rival and Giovanni fights inside of Silph Company, while also grabbing Krabby as my water-type encounter thanks to the Super Rod finally being obtainable, giving me my very own fake Cloth. Somehow, Cloth has come to be my favorite Pokemon announced for Scarlet and Violet so far, probably has to do with how derpy looking it is. Anyway, Rival 5 time and it's Pidgeot up first, so I lead with my fake Cloth, 2-shotting with Surf after Wing Attack hits for around a quarter twice, KOing with a critical as Execute comes out second. Type Advantage swap out time as Arcanine comes in and handles it with Ember, burning it for the last bit of damage as Gyarados comes in third. Now, I would love to go out into Wigglytuff, but I'd rather conserve the HP for Alakazam, so I swap into Venusaur and KO with 2 Razor Leaves, leading to Alakazam, whom I'm able to get a rather sizable chunk of damage out thanks to Body Slam, taking a Confusion and swapping into Wigglytuff to KO with Tri-Attack. Last out is Charizard, and I'd be a fool not to swap out into Graveler, KOing with the power of Rock Slide to win the fight. Seriously, cannot believe they give people access to Ice Beam, Rock Slide, and Tri-Attack for such an inexpensive price in Celadon, but it sure is helpful. Giovanni's pretty much straight after and leads off with a Nidorino, a pretty effective target for Graveler's Earthquake to KO in one shot, leading to Kangaskhan, who does a grand total of 2 damage before going down to 2 Earthquakes. Third out is Rhyhorn, Earthquake downs him, leaving just Nidoqueen. She does manage to survive, but on a millimeter of HP, using Poison Sting twice for 1 damage each, going down and clearing Team Rocket out of here. Now imagine if I had evolved Graveler by now, that wouldn't have even taken an extra turn. Now since the level cap for Koga and Sabrina are the same, I do need to go into one of them with a lower level team. Thankfully, Graveler makes this a cinch to choose Koga as super effective Earthquake should do the trick. He leads with Coughing, and since no abilities, it's a KO with Earthquake, as is Muck, the second Coughing, and Wheezing. Or would have been if it didn't outspeed and blow up in Graveler's face despite resisting it. Well then. Surf in hand, I figured it would make sense to go around the water areas of the region to hit the level cap of 43, seeing as my team was still a few levels off, though what I didn't expect myself to do was to accidentally talk to Blaine first inside of his gym. I thought I was just talking to a regular trainer here and that I was still one away from Blaine, but hey, at least Gen 1's broken enough for me to come up with a strategy on the fly with underleveled mons. He leads with Growlithe, so I go with a Wigglytuff, Thunder Waving to paralyze, then going into Pidgeot to just start double teaming like crazy. I figured if I can survive, he can't hit me, and by abusing the badge boost glitch, I can hit him pretty hard as well. That is, until I managed to KO Growlithe, Ponyta, and Rapidash in rapid succession. Before leveling up right before Arcanine. Well, at least I still have Graveler for this, so I can swap out after landing a Light Fly, taking Takedown for a ton of damage, coming in and landing Earthquake for the KO and the win. And to think I still have a few levels to clear until I hit the cap for Sabrina. Once the remainder of the water trainers are done for, I'm ready to fight Sabrina, and honestly, Wigglytuff's just the perfect out here. She leads with Kadabra, and Double Team is my best friend until Psybeam gets a critical. Yep, friendship ended with critical hits, now Wigglytuff is my best friend, hitting Tri-Attack to KO Kadabra, 2 of them to KO Mr. Mime, then shifting to Ice Beam to hit Venomoth twice, taking a Poison Powder that ends up adding up to be a little too much damage, forcing me to swap into Graveler to hit Earthquake for the super effective KO, leading to Alakazam. While I'd love to stay in here and blast this guy into smithereens with Earthquake and call it a day, there's no shot Alakazam doesn't just KO Graveler here. So I swap into Arcanine, who's got a pretty decent special stat, taking Psybeam's critical for around half. Seeing Barrier get set up, but who cares, I've got the power of God and criticals on my side, taking it out with 2 bites to earn my 7th Gym Bagel. Alright, let's hurry up since we don't have all day. Giovanni's being an annoying bastard, therefore it's time for Fake Cloth to surf our way to victory, KOing his entire team with 1 apiece.
Radical skills, dude! I wish I could surf through the 90s World Wide Web as quickly as that sweet performance.
Ugh, that sentence predates me so hard I could stand to drink a Surge right about now. It's Rival 6 time and quickly death time as Rock Slide bodies Pidgeot and Earthquake does the same to Rhyhorn, leading to Execute, who's easily outed thanks to Arcanine's bite, KOing with 2 of them with the first flinching as Execute wastes a turn charging up a Solar Beam. 4th out is Gyarados, a pretty good counter to Arcanine, so I swap into Jigglypuff using Thunderbolt to KO with quad effective damage, leading to Alakazam. Now while Tri-Attack doesn't KO in one shot, well, I have to sit here dumbfounded as my rival decides to use a potion. Not a full restore, not a hyper potion, not even a super potion, a regular potion for 20 HP, healing Alakazam ever so slightly before being obliterated by a second Tri-Attack. Okay then, Charizard is out last, wasting time with Rage and doing a quarter damage to Wigglytuff with 2 of them as Thunderbolt KOs after 2, winning me the match. As I always say, Gen 1 is held together by Spit and Wish, maybe with some 50-year-old twine since, like, dear lord, how do you program an endgame boss fight to have a regular potion? What part of the programming went so poorly as to decide a regular potion? Okay, well, 1 victory road later, and it's time for the Elite Four. None of the team has fallen, so after hitting the level cap of 62, I'm ready to head in. Charging headfirst into Lorelei, she leads with Dugong, so I go with Venusaur. Despite being weak to ice, I'm able to set up Swords Dance, using 2 of them, then sweeping the entire team with Razor Leaf, KOing Dugong, Cloyster, Slowbro, Body Slam for Jinx, and then shifting back to Razor Leaf for Lapras to KO and win the fight. But wait, Meatball Man, Razor Leaf is a special move in Generation 1.
Yes.
Bruno is up second, and he's got Onyx. Yay, rock types, because Fighting Man does not have enough fighting types to use. Don't you have a Primeape somewhere? Well, Kingler's able to plow through thanks to Surf, then using Stomp on both Hitmonchan and Hitmonlee to KO them after an attempted flinching shenanigan. KOing the second Onyx with a Surf, then leaving just Machamp. I figured it would be funny to try and see if I can, since I have the whole team in the back, go for Guillotine and try to hit a one-hit KO move in an actual run. But with all 5 power points later, I failed to connect with a single one. Well then, all good. We've got Silph to do, damage, KOing in 2 shots to win. Not sure why Bruno didn't attack for the 5 turns I spent twiddling my goddamn thumbs, but hey, we'll take it. God, what the f*** is this game sometimes? Agatha's third on the docket, and since there's no levitate, I'm able to lead with Golem and just sit out here to attempt to sweep with Earthquake. But of course, the first hypnosis happens to outspeed and land, so I'm gonna have to do this the hard way. I swap into Pidgeot in the attempt to KO with Fly, but that's not good enough, so I swap into Wigglytuff to continue flexing the immunity normal types have to Ghost, connecting with 2 Thunderbolts following a Super Potion to KO and lead to Golbat, who also goes down to 2 Thunderbolts after missing a Supersonic. Third out is Haunter and... oh, right, forgot that Nightshade hits normal types in Generation 1. Strange. Either way, I'm able to paralyze Haunter with Thunderbolt's second attack, taking a Confuse Ray and hitting myself twice, but with Haunter not being able to attack, I'm eventually able to hit an Ice Beam to pick up the KO. Fourth out is Arbok, so I swap into Venusaur to set up Leech Seed, but she swaps into Gengar. Then after I connect with Leech Seed, she swaps back into Arbok. Huh. Well, I guess Body Slam will do just fine, KOing and leaving just Gengar, allowing for a Leech Seed without any switching to connect. I am a bit stubborn though and stay in for an extra turn despite being paralyzed, but thankfully that lets Venusaur take the Confuse Ray rather than Arcanine, whom I swap to next turn to take a Nightshade, eventually KOing with Ember to win the fight. About time the Kanto Elite Four got an extended fight out of me, but that's not going to happen with Lance as Wigglytuff can tear on right through. Thunderbolt KOs Gyarados, but oddly enough Dragonair survives an Ice Beam. Well, it would have been 2 if it weren't for healing items, but still surprising that 2 Ice Beams is needed rather than just 1. Dragonair number 2 falls to 2 Ice Beams, Aerodactyl to 2 Thunderbolts, and Dragonite to 2 Ice Beams after a Hyper Potion, thanks to the power of God and criticals, winning me the quick match. Well, at least he used a Hyper Potion instead of like a Freshwater or some dumb shit like that. With the past success behind me though, it's time for the first of 39 final battles of this series as our rival sits upon the throne, though not for long as Golem's the perfect out to his lead Pidgeot, KOing with Rock Slide after he wastes time charging a Sky Attack. Great move in Generation 1, not good against Rock types. Second out is Alakazam and sure enough swapping out with Smart into Arcanine as he goes for Psychic, not doing much damage to Arcanine, as I reciprocate with a Bite that grabs the critical one-shot leading to Rhydon. This is an easy swap into Venusaur, dodge a Horn Drill, KO with Razor Leaf, no skin off my back, as Executor comes out fourth. Well, I may as well use Body Slam here to try to take him down, but it only does a third. All while Executor manages to put it to sleep with a Hypnosis. Well, that's a little rough, but I'm able to swap back into Arcanine to blast, Fire Blast, and that's perfect after taking a Barrage for minimal damage, KOing. Fifth is Gyarados, yet another quality counter to my currently active team member, but since I know his last Pokemon is Charizard, I go ahead and go into Kingler, using Stomp to cheese Gyarados with flinches, barely taking any damage in the process and being in a prime position to KO Charizard afterwards, using 2 Surfs. The first does get a low roll and leads straight into a full restore, but the second manages to get that high roll one-shot from full HP, giving us the first of many championship titles. I'm gonna have more titles than vacant when everything is said and done here. Back to the title screen we go for Pokemon Blue as we're doing it all over again, this time with Squirtle. Oddly enough though, we almost lose the first battle to our rival's Bulbasaur, but he starts throwing for content with status moves near the end for me to win. Honestly, it would have been better to lose this fight, as Nuzlocke doesn't start until we receive Pokeballs, saving some space for stat experience from level 2 Pidgey, but we're not looking to optimize that heavily. As for encounters, we're going for Nidoran Female over on Route 22, as Gen 1 is the only gen where Nidoqueen will be half decent. Maybe Gen 2 would be another one, but it's too late into those games for it to matter. I don't need any other encounter for Brock, so after eroding his friends away with the power of squirting, we can move onward to Route 3 and into Mount Moon to capture our third encounter of Paris. This will be our core Grass type for the run, despite not really taking advantage of Grass type moves. Rather, Parasect is very adept at physically attacking this generation, getting access to things like Body Slam, Swords Dance, Leech Life, and Dig, while also getting great status in Spore, a 100% accurate move that induces sleep. Now you'd think that Paras is completely useless until it evolves, but oddly enough, due to the amount of stat experience we can get from him this early on, before hopping over the Ledge of Doom, he's not bad whatsoever. Though not against the second rival fight, as Pidgeotto is not a friendly sight, despite the lack of flying type moves. Instead, I'm going for Wartortle and attempting to land Water Gun despite Sand Attack landing. From here, I can now go into Paras safely and destroy the remainder of his team. Scratch on Abra, Stun Spore and 2 scratches to safely dispatch Rattata, and 4 scratches to take out Bulbasaur for the quick win. Misty soon afterwards, and I sure do love, what's the word for dividing into 5 pieces? Pentasecting? Well, it's close enough to Parasect, so it only makes sense that Paras is the one to use Stun Spore and Leech Life on Staryu and Starmie in order to kill them to death and earn me the Cascade Badge. Before the rival fight on the SSN, I made sure to go out of my way to grab the TM for Body Slam, seeing as while Nidoqueen gets it by level up, Paras only learns it from the single obtainable copy of TM08, so I shouldn't need any more from my future team members. My rival starts out with Pidgeotto, 2 Water Guns is all it takes from Wartortle, then Raticates out second and dodges 2 Mega Punches, very frustrating, doing half damage to Wartortle before a Mega Punch Water Gun combo can take him down, leading to Kadabra, who's squashed by the power of Paras's Leech Life, leading to Ivysaur, who falls to a combo of Dig and Leech Life to win me the fight. Geez, already having Paras's near final moveset before it evolves is pretty sweet, not to mention it evolves at the same level as Lieutenant Surge's level cap, allowing me to sweep through his Voltorb, Pikachu, and Raichu with 1 single dig apiece to win my 3rd Gym Bagel quickly and efficiently. Give me the TM for cream cheese, I mean Thunderbolt. Sorry, bagels are on my mind. Wish I could find me some keto bagels somewhere. Searching the Rock Tunnel map for the second time today is a rather strange occurrence, but not as strange as our 4th encounter choice just ahead of Rock Tunnel on Route 10, Voltorb. I'm forgoing a fire type in this run entirely and instead going for an electric type. After all, may as well abuse Electrode's speed and power in this generation where he's the literal fastest thing alive, getting the appropriate name of Yep Ball. He certainly seems like the average Farfa viewer. On the other side leads to Celadon and the game corner where Giovanni awaits to be abolished, as we can't overlook his crimes any longer, taking out his Onix and Rhyhorn with 1 Water Gun apiece before swapping out into Nidoqueen for Kangaskhan due to not yielding enough damage, spamming Body Slam with Nidoqueen to eventually win the fight. She's rather bulky for an early game encounter, and that's all we're really looking for most of the time. The core of any perfect Pokemon team for runs like this are usually a Grass Fire Water core, or in this case a Grass Electric Water core, as Fire isn't necessary for Kanto, and 3 other Pokemon that occupy spots for Damage Sponge, Physical Attacker, and Status Support. Parasect kind of occupies the grass spot while also being the physical attacker and status support, so after picking up Doduo for my fly encounter, I feel like my team is pretty much perfectly rounded with 5 members. If I pick up a 6th team member, it feels like I'll end up treating it as an afterthought. So I'll make sure to assess the situation if we ever have something go down. Speaking of Doduo though, it's a very powerful encounter, soloing Erika with 4 flies to KO Victory Bell and Tangela in 2 shots, then taking down Vileplume in 2 after dodging a Petal Dance and forcing her into using a Super Potion. And to think that Dodrio is coming in only 2 levels. Add on top of that the TM for Tri-Attack to take advantage of the normal typing, and we're in prime position for annihilation of anything with a low physical defense. Moving into the Pokemon Tower, we've got a nice little fun time against a rival where Parasect manages to take out the flying types of his team with 2 Body Slams on Pidgeotto and a Body Slam and Mega Drain on Gyarados, since, Dragon Rage is still one hell of a move for this point in the game, only to be met by another Pokemon that can actually hit for quad effective damage in Growlithe. So I swap into Wartortle and take care of it with Water Gun, KOing Kadabra straight after with Mega Punch, then staying in on Ivysaur out of spite, only to hit it with 2 bites and a Mega Punch through Leech Seed and Vine Whip to KO and win the match. Probably would have been better to swap in a Nidoqueen there, but to be completely fair and blunt, I am the most stubborn bastard. Moving ahead into Rival 5 in Silph Company, we've got Pidgeot facing off against my newly evolved Electrode, who doesn't learn any Electro moves by level up, but certainly learns Thunderbolt by TM, zapping the bird out of the sky as Gyarados comes out second? Okay, well, thank you for the free fodder. Down goes Gyarados to Thunderbolt, as does Growlithe to a single attack, leading to Alakazam, who really doesn't have much to hit me with, so I just plow through with 2 Thunderbolts, KOing and leaving just Venusaur. Now I'd love to stay in, but he's already hit Leech Seed, so I set up Thunder Wave and swap to Dodrio, taking a Poison Powder, but it's not enough, as Drill Peck gets the KO and the win for me. Drill Peck is literally the best flying type move in Gen 1, so that's a pretty understandable obliteration. Just ahead we have Giovanni, and Blastoise is in prime position to take him down, using Surf to nearly one-shot Nidorino, KOing next turn as their Nidorino fails to do anything of impact, doing the same thing to Kangaskhan as his turn is also non-impactful. Third out is Rhydon, Surf and Gone, and last is Nidoqueen, and boy is it a curse to be part ground type now, is it? Down she goes, and onward to Koga. Thankfully, Parasect learns Dig, and having an insanely high attack stat, all 4 of his Pokemon go down to 1 Dig apiece, running through coughing. But I'm a little afraid of Muck here, so instead, I swap into Nidoqueen and start pummeling it with Body Slam and Seismic Toss after some X defense, taking 0 damage myself after 4 attacks manages to fell the Poison Pissant, leading to Coughing number 2, who falls to 2 Body Slams, and Wheezing, who decides to blow itself up and do half damage. One of these days, Koga will learn that self-destruct is not the wisest thing to have on your final Pokemon, and he'll send it out earlier. Sabrina's straight after, and once again I have the upper hand, this time with Dodrio as it's insanely fast and a physical attacker. Drill Peck's able to destroy Kadabra, Mr. Mime, Venomoth with super effective damage, and Alakazam with the power of God and criticals all in 1 apiece. I'll take it, call upon Dodo Head to make sure your opponent is doo-doo dead. Blaine's just after the Pokemon Mansion, and as you could probably expect, Blastoise is our clear choice for soloing the gym. Even 3 levels below the level cap, since I'm lazy, I'm able to one-shot Growlithe, Ponyta, and Rapidash with all 1 Surf apiece to KO, leaving just Arcanine who barely doesn't go down, allowing for Blaine to waste a Super Potion as he normally does, and go down to a second Surf to win the fight with 0 damage. Now, if only I had gotten to the level cap, I would have just one-shot everything. Much less fun than seeing the dumb AI use a Super Potion instead, though. Giovanni's locked inside of his cage of a gym, and Blastoise is gonna have to flood him out of it, using Surf to fell Rhyhorn, Dugtrio, Nidoqueen, Nidoking, and Rhydon, all in 1 shot without a single attack connecting to Blastoise to win. Well, that's 2 for 2 in terms of gym leaders that were super effective too and don't get damaged by. Sorry buddy, better luck when I have a Pikachu. Maybe you'll be able to hit that with a ground type move if I feel like throwing for content later. Rival 6 is right on over here on Route 22, but since the level cap is 62 and we don't have to fight any trainers in Victory Road, I can just get everybody to level 58 and win easily. Zapping Pidgeot with Thunderbolt, swapping into Blastoise and surfing Rhyhorn, then swapping back to zap Gyarados with Thunderbolt, staying into one-shot Growlithe with Thunderbolt as Alakazam comes in 5th. So I swap into Dodrio as Alakazam decides to be a moron and go for Recover, going down to Drill Peck as does Venusaur to win the fight. Well then, another Victory Road later, and we're still in a fantastic position with only 5 Pokemon on our team. Yeah, it definitely feels like I can conserve a Kanto encounter for a later game by just going in with these fellows. Honestly, I probably could have done the same with Red version by forgoing, Growlithe, but hey, I'm not going to be perfect throughout this series. In fact, I'm shocked I've made it through nearly 2 games in a row without losing a single Mon. So let's make that a complete 2 games by going straight into Lorelei's chamber with Electrode in front. My fast ball is able to shock the world, and by world I mean Dugong, Cloyster, and Slowbro with Thunderbolt, 2-shotting Jinx with Thunderbolt and Swift, and Lapras back with a single Thunderbolt to win. Well, what about Bruno? Well, oddly enough, Nidoqueen is the answer, as we can give her Bubble Beam for both Onix, then use Body Slam to potentially paralyze Hitmonchan, Hitmonlee, and Machamp, and just blast them over and over again while standing up to their attacks with bulky defenses. Alright, well then what about Agatha? Thankfully, we've got Parasect and Sword Stance, putting Gengar to sleep with Spore and using a single Sword Stance to start KOing, using Dig to take it out, leading to Golbat. Well, this is dumb to stay in on, but Wing Attack is only 35 power in this gen. I'm sure I can survive. I go for Body Slam, and unfortunately it misses. I think I'm a victim of the 1 in 256 glitch here, but the second one connects, allowing for her to bring out Haunter and start dogpiling on Parasect, until he's just unfortunately not able to continue. So I swap into Dodrio and just start clearing house with Drill Peck, barely taking any damage and felling the rest of her party in Haunter, Arbok, and Gengar number 2, with Drill Peck to end the fight. The normal typing might not help much here, but punching the opponent really hard in the face certainly does. Lance is last up on the list, and with the power of Ice Beam being available to Blastoise, it's no question who we're leading with. Gyarados is a one-shot with our lead, Electrode using Thunderbolt. Yeah, we're actually leading the ball so that we can Thunder Wave the first Dragonair, then swap safely using Ice Beam. There we go, take out the dragon. Using Ice Beam and one-shotting the second as Aerodactyl comes out fourth. Ice Beam fells the Prehistoric Predator after he misses an attack, letting Dragonite come in last and fall to Ice Beam. What did you think? Leaving just the champion. Alright, bucko, time to fall to another team of freaks. Electrode's the lead again, with Pidgeot on the opposing side, KOing with Thunderbolt as Alakazam second, nearly going down to a critical Thunderbolt, but managing to hang on just barely as Psychic hits for massive damage, lowering Electrode's special. No matter though, it just goes down to Swift next turn, putting me up 5-4 as Rhydon's out third. This is an easy decision to swap into Blastoise to erode this horny bastard with Surf, leading to Gyarados, whom I'd love to swap back into Electrode with, but I've got Strength, so who cares. Eating a Hyper Beam for lunch and KOing with 3 of them as Arcanine comes in 5th, dying to Surf immediately. Last out is Venusaur, and you know how it goes at this point. Swap into Dodrio, Drill Peck, Dunzo. 2 games down, 37 to go. Sheesh, that sounds more intimidating to think about. How about 2 games down, 1 Gen 1 title to go, as Yellow is our last objective to take down today. So for our first encounter, obviously it's Pikachu for the starter, but since it can't evolve, we'll be able to save Raichu for a later game where we don't have to use Pikachu and can instead immediately evolve it with a Thunderstone upon capture. Oddly enough though, we finally lose our first rival battle, seeing as Eevee gets that same type attack bonus from Tackle, so we can't outpace the damage fast enough. Either way, more room to get stat experience on level 2 Pidgey. Anyway, I feel like the most obvious required encounters for Brock here are Mankey on Route 22 and Nidoran Male on Route 2, as both get fighting type moves at or below this game's Brock level cap of 12, so that's our core starting out. We'll grab a water and a flying type later, but for now, this is who we're rocking. Brock's made rather easy thanks to Mankey's low kick, as it's able to 2-shot Geodude, then 2-shot Onix without taking too much damage in return, winning us the 17th of 24 gym badges today. We're certainly getting there, I can tell that much. Moving through Route 3 and Mount Moon without an encounter this go-around means that we can get to the rival battle much quicker, is what I would say if Jesse and James weren't trying to stop me unlike the last 2 games, but they're obliteration fodder, so I'm not even gonna give them the time of day. With Rival 2 and Cerulean, I do lead Pikachu so that I can 2-shot his lead Spearow with Thundershock, leading to Sandshrew, who I play around, using Mankey to fell him with a myriad of Karate Chops, connecting with 3 critical hits, missing 1, but no matter as Rattata's out third, so I swap into Pikachu, then into Nidoking to finish that, and Eevee off with Double Kick. Or Horn Attack in Eevee's case, because he's busy being a technicality and surviving on 1 HP. You're lucky you're not evolving into a Jolteon, or else I'd use Earthquake on you later. After hitting the level cap, we can go in against Misty and take out her team with Pikachu, using Thundershock to defeat Staryu, and to give me added insurance against Starmie, Thunder Wave before delivering a few Thundershocks in sequence to KO and win the match. Figured that one would go rather easily. Now Rival 3's walling me from obliterating Lieutenant Surge with my dig-equipped Mankey, so after getting the team to level 25, we're ready for his lead Spearow once again, this time with Nidoking as we've got Thrash, and it's able to one-shot Spearow, Rattata, and nearly Sandshrew before he gets confused and fatigue, nearly KOing himself with the amount of times Nidoking decided to hit himself. Since my confusion luck is so bad, I swap into Mankey to finish the job on Sandshrew, leaving just Eevee to fall to a low kick to win. Easy enough, but I'm not happy to see that bad luck bleeding into Pokemon gameplay, even in the smallest of ways. I always deem life as an unlucky fest where everything I do outside of Pokemon can and will go wrong, so I really don't want to see stuff go wrong in Pokemon. With that odd observation out of the way though, it's time to solo Lieutenant Surge and his lone Raichu with Nidoking, using our Electric Immunity and Thrash to win the fight in 2 turns. Sure, I get it, anime reference, but why? What was the point? Better yet, why was the point? Give him a Magneton or something. Lord knows you did it for Watson in Gen 3. Alright, listen, this time I'm not looking up Rock Tunnel map, I'll just tell by the outlines of the walls. Thankfully I can do that instead of having such a small liminal space to see like Firered and Leaf Green. On the other side, I'm changing things up though. Instead of going for Giovanni first, I'm going for Erika, seeing as she uses Gloom and Weepin' Bell in yellow rather than the fully evolved Victory Bell and Vileplume, so that makes things a little bit easier, letting me go into the fight with Primeape and obliterate or lead Tangela with a few karate chops, reserving Dig for the part poison types as Gloom falls in a single shot, and Weepin' Bell in 2 shots to win me the Rainbow Badge in short order. Now if only Nidoking could have a ground move by now, this would have been a bit faster, but for some reason Nidoking can only learn Earthquake, not Dig, and only by TM. Very strange, but whatever, I'm able to move ahead to Giovanni in the Graham Corner hideout, destroying his Onix and Rhyhorn with Nidoking's newly learned Bubble Beam, taking care of his last Pokemon in Persian with Double Kick to win. I mean, who else was I gonna use there? Rival in Pokemon Tower time, and his lead Spearow is now evolved into Fearow. Not that it matters, since Pikachu's long since learned Thunderbolt to burn his wings to a toast, leading to Vulpix. A 9-level difference makes this an easy one-shot with Thunderbolt, as would Magnemite, but type resistance, so instead I use 2 quick attacks to put him down since Steel type doesn't exist yet, and 3 to down Sandshrew as Eevee comes out last, going down to 2 Thunderbolts. You'd think that this gremlin would have checked the Celadon department store for the evolution stones needed to evolve Vulpix and Eevee, but I guess there's just gonna remain itty-bitty dum-dums for now. After a massive gain in levels though, I figured it's time to get our last 2 encounters I'm gonna want for the run. Once again, I'm shooting for a team of 5, with both being available because of Fuchsia City. The first being in the Safari Zone to the north, where I'm able to manage a Tauros as my first encounter. Capturing that since there's no way I'm passing up Tauros, seeing as he's one of the most broken Pokemon in Generation 1, as well as grabbing the good rod so that I could head up back into Route 6 and capture Goldeen as my water type. There's plenty of water types in future games, so no need to be stingy with them whatsoever. I'd just rather use the less useful ones outside of the starters in the earlier games, since I can get away with more dumb stuff like this due to the A, lack of power creep, and B, well, the jankiness, especially with Gen 1. Though I'm not sure why I had a very one-track mind with the nicknames here, Thundillery and Gil Clinton for Pikachu and Goldeen respectively, but I do enjoy a little bit of political trolling from time to time. Silph Company time, and the rival is once again trying to shove his nose where it doesn't belong, so we may as well break it with a karate chop. But I don't have that move anymore, so the joke is no longer connecting as well as it should. Alas, our rival has changed up his lead, going for Sandslash instead of Fearow, so I go with Seeking first, KOing with Waterfall, as Magneton's out second. This is an easy swap into Primeape so that I can use Dig, doing the same to Ninetales next go around, as well as Kadabra, and Vaporeon twice, sweeping the remainder of Gary's team to win the clash. Who knew continuing to press A would be a good idea? Heck, I saw fit to continue pressing A so much that I did the same thing to Jesse and James straight after with 3 digs, leading to Giovanni. And hey, if pressing A did so much last time, let's try it again! This time only for Nidorino though, as both Persian and Rhyhorn deserved a low kick, leaving just Nidoqueen to fall to a critical dig that won me the match. Silph Company's invasion comes crumbling easier and easier with each passing day. Gym leader time, as Sabrina's got the Abracadabra Alakazam line, but Tauros has Body Slam, Body Slam, Body Slam. Even 7 levels below Alakazam, Tauros can one-shot the first 2 and 2-shot the third to win the fight without damage, and that means that being lazy rules. With Koga, I at least gave him the dignity of getting to the level cap of 50 to take him on, leading with Primeape in order to use Dig to KO Venonat, Venonat number 2 with that in his strength, Venonat number 3 with a Dig in his strength, with both number 2 and 3 hitting 1 Psychic each to bring Primeape to near death as Venomoth comes in last, but that's no problem, I still have a full team in the back, swapping to Tauros and easily able to pick up the slack from there, KOing with a single critical Body Slam to win. I believe Tauros has about a 25% chance to get a critical hit in Generation 1. It truly is some heinous shit in terms of obliterating this challenge. Speaking of heinous, what about using a water type against Blaine? Well, Waterfall's able to 2-shot Ninetales, 1-shot Rapidash with a critical, then since we're running low on HP, we can swap into Nidoking to 3-shot Arcanine, taking a strong Flamethrower before Blaine decides to pull what is tradition at this point and use a Super Potion, falling because of it and allowing for one final gym fight against Giovanni to follow. He leads Dugtrio as I go with Seaking, taking a dig for around a third as Waterfall KOs, leading to Persian, who falls to 2 Waterfalls. I'm still at over half HP, so I stay in and Waterfall both Nidoqueen and Nidoking, KOing the first and 2-shotting the second with no additional damage, leaving just Rhydon, who's outsped and KO'd with Waterfall, to win the fight single-handedly. See what I mean about being able to be dumb with not-so-powerful Pokemon? There's no chance I solo Giovanni with Seaking and Firered and Leaf Green, just not at all. Okay, maybe I could, but if it was Yellow's team in Firered and Leaf Green, there would have been no chance. Rival 6 is all that stands between me and the league, leading Sandslash and dying to Waterfall, leading to Execute, who falls to a Blizzard. Third out is Magneton, and oddly enough, I'm staying in because I want to solo this bastard with Seaking as well, just to prove that this dumb fish is able to win. Waterfall is able to 2-shot through Paralysis, taking a Thundershock for minimal damage as Ninetales comes in and hits a quick attack before falling to a critical Waterfall, with Kadabra following up. Kadabra is very stubborn though, using the power of Recover and just managing to stay on the field for like 8 turns, but eventually it's KO'd as Vaporeon is his last Pokemon. Unfortunately, I can't just stay in and attempt to solo with Seaking. I'll relent and swap to Tauros in order to KO with 2 Body Slams to win. Okay, seriously, who decided that Tauros was a legal Pokemon to use? This thing is way too broken in Gen 1. The third and final Gen 1 victory road later, and we're ready for the league once more, as 5 members should be more than enough to finish this run off. Lorelei's lead is Dugong, as it was in the previous games, going down to Pikachu's Thunderbolt, as does Cloyster after wasting time with an Agility, and getting hit with Confuse Ray. Whoopsie. Since I'm stubborn though, I continue to stay in with Thunderbolt, one-shotting both it and Slowbro, getting to Jinx, who's paralyzed off of the first Thunderbolt, and goes down to the second, leaving just Lapras to fall to 2 Thunderbolts after barely managing to knock Pikachu into low yellow with Body Slam, KOing and winning the first of 5. Bruno still has his Onix here, so I'm going Nidoking with Surf, using Rock Slide for some damage on Hitmonchan before moving to Double Kick, 2-shotting before Hitmonlee comes out, and I decide to go for Thrash, one-shotting him, but yeah, Onix doesn't take much damage from things that he resists, so he takes half damage from it, and Nidoking succumbs to Fatigue, though manages to break through and hit Surf to KO, leaving just Machamp to fall to 2 Thrashes despite Fatigue, so I win the fight. Well, I guess I earned the positive confusion luck this go-around. Third is Agatha on the totem pole, and this is exactly why I gave Tauros Earthquake instead of Nidoking. He's fast like Gengar, able to outspeed and blast it with a critical, and can hit Golbat with Body Slam, allowing for a sweep on all of Agatha's Pokemon without a single point of damage to Tauros. Truly a miracle worker, but you know who else is a miracle worker? That's right, Pikachu as Thunderbolt one-shots Lance's lead Gyarados, allowing for me to do the same strat I used in Blue with Electrode, using Thunder Wave and pivoting to the Water type with an Ice type move in Seaking, using Blizzard to one-shot both Dragonairs. Aerodactyl's out 4th and Waterfall destroys it after it uses Swift to do barely any damage to Seaking, and Blizzard is able to one-shot Dragonite after it comes out last to win. Now, in case you're curious, Blizzard is 90% accurate in Gen 1, so there's no reason to not at least try it in tandem with Ice Beam. I just got lucky enough to land 3 of them at that accuracy rate. All that's left, though, is our last Gen 1 battle, with Gary standing between me and the title of Indigo Master, so let's take him down. Sandslash is the lead here, so I go ahead and start with Seaking, KOing instantly with Waterfall as Alakazam comes out second. I swap to Pikachu here to 2-shot with Thunderbolt that crits and a quick attack, leading to Executor. Now, while I'd love to swap into Seaking for Blizzard, it has Grass Weakness, so I stay in with Pikachu and set up a Thunder Wave as he goes for Leech Seed, therefore giving me enough protection to make me feel slightly safe into going into Seaking now that I have that protection, hitting a combo of Blizzard and 2 Pecks to KO and lead into Ninetales, a one-shot with Waterfall. I'm staying in on Magneton too, since if I can dodge Thunder Wave, I should be able to 2-shot, but I can't, only hitting a single Body Slam for half, with some healing with Leech Seed mixed in. Alright, well, that's a swap to Tauros. I'm tired of playing games. Earthquake to Magneton KOs as Vaporeon comes in last, falling to an Earthquake Body Slam combo, all while Gary wastes his last pathetic turn with Mist. And to think you told me your grandpa's Pokemon has no pathetic moves. Bah! Mist is terrible. There's a reason we play the game of Who's the Pro Tag, and I'm always the winner. But with that, we've successfully Nuzlocked the entirety of Pokemon Generation 1 without a single loss of life, which isn't as much of a miracle as you'd expect, but I did manage to save a ton of encounters. I initially budgeted 9 encounters per game, but managing to make it out of Red with 6, then Blue and Yellow with 5 each means we saved 12 Pokemon. These were Kangaskhan, Jynx, Rattata and Raticate, Sandshrew and Sandslash, the Machamp line, Eevee, and by extension Jolteon, Execute and Executor, Clefairy and Clefable, Venonat and Venomoth, Pinsir, Cubone and Marowak, and Articuno, as I was initially planning to use legendaries in this entire series, though I felt like there was no need for them due to how cheesable Gen 1 can truly be. As long as you know the quirks of the trade, you can clear these games no problem. Hell, I could probably see it being easily doable with 4 or even 3 Pokemon if you use the right core. As for next time around, we'll be clearing the Gen 2 Johto games in Gold, Silver, and Crystal. No extra starters will be left behind, so HCSS are gonna have to have some really nice encounters saved up for later. Can I pull it off as flawlessly as this time? Well, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on that upload, like the video if you enjoyed, and comment down below if you're excited for this series. I would love to hear your thoughts. With that said, you guys stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see y'all next time.